A while ago, it sounded crazy to even think about story-driven games on Android. I think Android was born with the idea of being casual, and that's actually a very good thing. But of course, there's plenty of room for full games with a proper story mode, and it's great to see that more and more people are realizing that. Today, we're talking about the 15 best story mode games on the Play Store, so drop a like and come with me. Let's start with a game that reminds me a lot of Super Mario 64, especially because of its gameplay. Let's talk about Super Bear Adventure. You play as Baron, a bear who lives in a colorful world that has suddenly been infected by a mysterious purple substance. This substance is corrupting the creatures of the kingdom and imprisoning other bears. Your mission is to rescue the other bears from the places where they're trapped. The story itself is very simple, as you can see. The game focuses heavily on exploration and item collection in an open world divided into stages. Just like in Super Mario 64, the map feels open but still contained, and you choose where to go, while also figuring out where the hidden bears are in each level. The combat system is straightforward. You jump on enemies or use basic physical attacks. Recently, the game received a multiplayer update, and it turned out to be a solid 10 out of 10, making it an easy recommendation. If Super Bear Adventure is inspired by Nintendo 64 classics, Spirit of the Island clearly draws inspiration from games like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, and Harvest Moon, but with a more interesting and structured story. You arrive on an island that used to be a vibrant tourist destination but is now falling into decline. Your mission is to rebuild the village and uncover its forgotten past. The game features a main storyline focused on coming-of-age rituals and family secrets, and progressing through this story is almost mandatory to unlock new areas. Unlike other farming simulators where you simply sell your crops, here the focus is on the island's economy. From attracting tourists to managing accommodations, everything is under your control. The archipelago includes 14 unique islands, each with its own resources, secrets, and even enemies like pirates. This is one of those newer genres that blends two different styles together, and even though it draws heavily from roguelike elements, the game still delivers a surprisingly strong story. Let's talk about School, the Hero Slayer. Humans and the so-called first hero have attacked the Demon King's castle, captured almost everyone, and destroyed everything. You control School, a small skeleton who is the only one left free. Your mission is to invade the human kingdom and rescue the Demon King. The biggest twist here is that School can swap skulls. Every skull you find completely changes how you play, and that's where the roguelike system really shines. Every single run is unique, and each skull can drastically alter your playstyle. There are over 100 different skulls inspired by pop culture heroes, mythologies, and classic RPG classes. This is a hard game. Be prepared to die many times until you learn the boss patterns. Developed by Spacelab Games, this is a game that tries to capture the essence of classic 16-bit titles but with many modern features. Let's talk about Shadow of the Orient. You control Xiaolang, a warrior who wields the elemental power of fire. After 200 years of peace, an ancient shadow returns to spread chaos across the land. Your mission is to cross dangerous territories, rescue kidnapped children, and defeat the Lord of Darkness. The story itself is simple, just like many games inspired by older classics. What really shines here is the platforming and of course the combat. Unlike School, which is a roguelike where you start from scratch every run, Shadow of the Orient is a linear adventure game with stage-based progression. There are around 15 levels divided into 3 acts. Each level includes secret areas, hidden chests, and simple puzzles. It's not the strongest story-driven game out there, but it still manages to be engaging, especially if you're a fan of 2D games. Now we move into a genre often called cozy games. Let's talk about a cute, low-pressure, story-driven game called Potion Permit. You take on the role of a chemist from the capital who is sent to the small isolated village of Moonbury. The problem is that the locals hate modern medicine and deeply distrust chemists because of a serious mistake that happened in the past. Your main goal is simply to do your job and slowly earn the villagers' trust. As that trust grows, they begin to open up and accept you as a normal resident of the village. Your own character doesn't really have a personal backstory. You're almost like a wanderer. Instead, the focus is on following the stories of all 36 NPCs and interacting with each of them. You venture into the forest to gather ingredients using your hammer, sickle, and axe. With those materials, you brew potions, diagnose patients, apply the correct treatment, and watch their trust level rise. Overall, it's a very cute and relaxing game, perfect if you want a calm experience without stress. Now let's talk about a horror game with a disturbing story, and honestly, horror games are only really good when they're like this. Let's talk about Mental Haze. Take on the role of Walter Miller, a man whose mental health is rapidly deteriorating. His wife, Emily, has disappeared in a place known as HAZE Town. You must explore the city and Walter's own mind to find Emily and try to recover the fragments of his sanity. The game doesn't rely on cheap jump scares, but instead focuses on building a constant feeling of discomfort and uncertainty about what is real. The game requires you to solve puzzles to unlock new areas and make dialogue-based decisions that can influence the direction of the story. This is one of those games where the story is actually stronger than the gameplay itself, but it still manages to deliver both very well, which is why it deserves a spot on this list. This is literally the story mode game you've been looking for, an impressive narrative adventure. Let's talk about Lost Words Beyond the Page. The game tells the story of Izzy, a young girl who dreams of becoming a writer. The narrative is divided into two different layers. Izzy's diary. You control a miniature version of Izzy, literally walking across the words she writes in her diary. This layer represents her real-life thoughts and emotions, the world of Astoria. This is the fantasy story Izzy is creating. You play as a young guardian in a vibrant watercolor world, trying to recover fireflies stolen by a dragon. At certain moments, you get to choose words that change details of the story, such as the protagonist's name or the color of her clothes, making the experience feel much more personal. The entire game feels like a watercolor painting coming to life. It's easily one of the most beautiful narrative games on mobile, with a genuinely strong and emotional story. I absolutely love this game. I managed to reach the end, but it was definitely tough. It's one of the very few Metroidvanias on Android. Let's talk about HAAK. You control HAAK, a wanderer living in a devastated world where survival is the only rule. HAAK is searching for his lost brother and ends up heading south toward a city called Sanho, which is said to be a safe sanctuary. Almost the entire gameplay revolves around your main weapon, a multifunctional energy hook, which I like to call Spider-Man's web. You use it both to move around the environment and to defeat enemies, for example. Like any good Metroidvania, the map is huge and filled with fake walls and secret rooms. Reaching 100% completion can take more than 30 to 40 hours, and I personally only did the basics. But unlike many Metroidvanias, this one really focuses on delivering a strong story, with multiple endings that are genuinely interesting and can surprise you. This is a game I actually have installed on my phone, but every now and then I stop and think, I really need to finish this. Let's talk about GREAK, Memories of Azure. Developed by the Mexican studio Navegante Entertainment and later ported to Android, the game's biggest standout feature is its multi-character control mechanic. The story takes place in the lands of Azure, which are being invaded by an enemy faction known as the Urlags. You follow the journey of 3 siblings from the Korean race, each one with unique abilities. Honestly, I personally liked Adara the most. She's the sister, kind of a mage, and she can fly. I found her really fun to play, but you also control her 2 brothers, and all 3 characters are used together. This is the most important aspect of GREAK. You don't choose just one character for the entire level. You must switch between them in real time, whether it's to solve puzzles or even to defeat a boss. It may sound simple at first, but GREAK, Memories of Azure, is without a doubt a 10 out of 10. When this game has 3 mechanics that are genuinely interesting and honestly they blend together really well, you'll understand exactly what I mean. Let's talk about Eternights. Unlike the others we've mentioned, this one is a dating action game. The premise is pretty wild. The world has ended, people have turned into violent monsters, and you're one of the few survivors left. You explore dangerous dungeons called walls and face massive bosses using a magical arm that transforms into different weapons. But when you're not fighting, you have to go on dates. The game features a cast of 5 characters with whom you can build relationships. Time is your most valuable resource. Each day gives you a limited number of actions, and yes, I know you're probably thinking that if you spend all your time dating, the world will eventually end, but at least you'll be happy when it does. At its core, the gameplay is almost like a hack and slash or an action RPG wrapped in a fun and surprisingly entertaining story. There's a Dragon Quest game on the Play Store that's completely different from the others, and honestly that's a very good thing. Let's talk about Dragon Quest Monsters, the Dark Prince. If you enjoy Pokemon but prefer a more classic JRPG approach with deeper monster fusion systems and an epic fantasy world, this game is absolutely for you. You play as Saro, a young half-human, half-demon who has been cursed by his own father, the king of the Underworld. Because of this curse, Saro is unable to harm any creature with monster blood. To take revenge on his father, he must become a monster wrangler, basically a monster trainer, and let monsters fight in his place. During battles, you can try to impress monsters so they join your team. From there, you can recruit, battle, and perform complex monster fusions to create even stronger stronger allies. But Saro's journey is darker than most games in the genre, with a story focused on revenge, fate, and tragedy rather than lighthearted adventure. Well, this is one of those games with a beautiful and emotional story, but it definitely doesn't fall behind when it comes to gameplay. Let's talk about Delight, The Journey Home. Unlike the fast-paced action of School or the light-hearted tone of Super Bear, Delight tells the story of Sammy, a young girl who lost her sight due to a civil war. Sammy is trying to reunite with her parents in the middle of the chaos caused by the conflict. She's not alone. Sammy is accompanied by her loyal guide dog Deli, who is essential for both her survival and navigation. The gameplay is honestly brilliant. The screen starts completely dark and the map slowly reveals itself as Sammy moves forward. You have to pay close attention to sounds and constantly rely on your dog for guidance and help. Throughout the journey, you'll encounter other civilians affected by the war. Your decisions whether to help them or focus only on your own safety can change the direction of the story and ultimately Sammy's fate. I genuinely found this story touching, emotional, and truly beautiful. If you're into deeply emotional stories, you really need to know this game, which is almost a classic on Android. Let's talk about Candleman. You control a small living candle with an unusual dream. It wants to shine as brightly and magnificently as a lighthouse it sees in the distance. To reach it, the candle must cross dark and dangerous environments. The twist is that you can only burn your own wax for a total of 10 seconds per level. If you stay lit for too long, you melt and die. Because of this, you have to use short flashes of light to memorize the environment, obstacles, and the correct path, then move forward in complete darkness. Throughout the journey, you'll explore abandoned ship holds, enchanted forests where flowers glow at your touch, and floating libraries, all while trying to understand why the candle or you came to life and where you're truly meant to go. It's a quiet, poetic experience with a powerful emotional core that stays with you long after the game ends. I'm currently playing this game all the way to the end, and I'm honestly enjoying everything from the gameplay to the story. Let's talk about BLOOMTOWN, A Different Story. The game is set in the 1960s and blends the quiet life of a small American town with a nightmare-filled world hidden beneath the surface. You play as Emily, who along with her brother Chester is sent to spend the summer vacation with their grandfather in the seemingly perfect town of BLOOMTOWN. Soon children begin to disappear and Emily discovers that a demonic entity is influencing the town. In the town itself, time is your main resource. You can work at the grocery store, take care of a garden, read books, or build relationships with the locals. But of course the game truly begins when you descend into the underworld, where you must face all kinds of demons. The game features a lot of interesting dialogue, and that's one of its strongest points, helping bring the world and its characters to life. Let's wrap up the list with one more Metroidvania, but this one is a bit more well known. Let's talk about Blasphemous. The story in this game is honestly very confusing and highly symbolic. The first time I played it, I didn't really understand much of what was going on. But what you do know is this: you play as the penitent one, the sole survivor of the massacre of the Brotherhood, and your mission is to break this endless cycle using your sword fighting monsters that were once your friends, but be warned, prepare to die a lot. Blasphemous does not go easy on the player. The focus is heavily on reaction time. You need to master perfect parries and dodge at exactly the right moment. The map is massive and fully interconnected, and you'll constantly find areas that can only be accessed after obtaining specific relics or abilities. It may not look like it at first glance, but just like HAAK, it has a very well structured story. The big difference is that here everything is far more symbolic, melancholic, and dark, making the experience feel heavy and unforgettable. And that's the list. These are some of the best story-driven games you can find on Android, proving that mobile gaming goes far beyond casual experiences. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more content like this, and let me know in the comments which game has the best story in your opinion.